Before I started sewing, I thought it would be complicated to personalize my creations, that I would need an embroidery machine.
Actually, not at all.
Without a machine and without even raising an eyebrow, I will show you 3 simple stitches to hand embroider the names of your children or grandchildren. First, we need to trace the letters onto the fabric. For that, I recommend using a friction pen because the ink disappears when you iron it. Now grab a needle, an embroidery hoop, and some classic stranded embroidery floss. It's made up of 6 strands, so depending on the thickness you want to achieve, you can use 2, 3 or 4 strands at a time.
Don't worry, I will show you each time the result with the different thicknesses.
Before introducing the stitch I've been using a lot lately, let's learn a very decorative one, the chain stitch. No matter how many strands you use, always separate them first because you'll see your stitches will look much neater and smoother. Let's start by inserting the needle at the end of the outline, bringing it back through the same hole without pulling the thread all the way, which forms a small loop. Then insert the needle a little further along and pass it through that loop before pulling gently. And there you go, your first chain stitch. For the next stitch, insert the needle inside the loop at the entry point and form a new loop through which you will pass, and so on. When the thread becomes too short or to finish the embroidery, pass the needle under the previous stitch on the back once, twice, and the third time keep the loop and pass the needle through it to form a knot. To give you an idea of the final look, here's the result using 2, 3, and 4 strands. Now let's move on to my favorite stitch, the one I'm using more and more, the whipped backstitch. Start by bringing the needle out a little further than the end of the line, then stitch backward right at the tip. Next, bring the needle out a little further and stitch backward again into the previous hole. That's the first step. Then you need to whip the backstitch. Bring the needle out at the end of the outline. Without piercing the fabric, pass under each stitch from right to left or left to right, it doesn't matter, but always in the same direction. In tight curves, shorten the length of your stitches, otherwise the result will look angular instead of nicely rounded. I don't know what you think, but for me, this stitch really makes the outline stand out. As before, here's the result with 2, 3, and 4 strands. Finally, we'll finish with the most elegant stitch, the stem stitch. To begin, it's the same principle as the backstitch. Bring the needle out about 3 mm from the end of the outline, then stitch backward right at the tip. Next, bring the needle out again 3 mm away, but this time with the tip of the needle, slightly move the previous stitched thread to insert the needle just below it in the center of the line. Bring the needle out 3 mm from the last entry point before inserting it under the previous stitch. Be careful not to go through the existing hole, but just beside it. Again, when stitching curves, remember to shorten the length of your stitches. And here's the result with 2, 3, and 4 strands. To finish, I show you this little notebook I sewed, which will serve as a reference for all my future personalized gifts. Let me know in the comments which stitch you would choose for your creations, and if you'd like to sew along with me, more tutorials including these lovies are waiting on my channel.